Howdy folks, I'm Wild Carrot, wickedly winding around warped wooden wagons.
I'm Amber.
And here are more warped wooden wagons for us to wrap ourselves around. Don't ask me how we're doing this as a carrot. We apparently are just doing it out of magic. Or malice. Or both. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Showing Up Underprepared to a Hike and Being Put Off with my friends for not warning me and ditching me? Genuinely, I need help understanding if I'm just a wuss who dragged everyone backwards today, or if we're mad for the right reasons. I'll change minor details here for discretion. I'm a 31-year-old female, and I had a friend group, similar ages, saying that we would like to get together for a hike sometime. We've scheduled, rescheduled, planned, and unplanned babysitters, dog sitters, and finally managed to happen. So I had been tossing around trail ideas, something easy, a single day. My two friends says, well, we would just like to hike the trail right by our place. And they essentially tell me that it's a straight shot. We'll have a buddy drop us off on the other side of the hill, and we'll hike over and essentially right back down into the neighborhood. 6 hours from start to finish. So my boyfriend and I show up, backpacks, basic snacks, water bottles. They show up on bikes. My boyfriend and I are a little confused. We thought that this was a hike for leisure. No rush, just sort of a 1 foot in front of the other type of thing. They say it's no rush. They may beat us, but we're all just going back to the neighborhood. Plus, there are a bunch of scenic lookouts where they'll stop and we'll catch up. Well, to no one's surprise at all, we get left behind pretty quickly. No cell service to be spoken of. We keep having to crowd off to one side for ATVs ripping down the path. But the longer we keep walking, one thing becomes clearer and clearer. This is not any kind of a hiking trail. It's not built for this at all, despite that being the original idea. Eventually, we stop to rest and wind up chatting with these guys who pulled over their ATVs. They asked us where we're headed, and we tell them, and it becomes immediately clear that we have much further to go than originally intended. Like several miles yet. Well, these two were saints because they give us a lift. The further we rode, the more astonished we became that anyone had expected us to do this on foot. It took us at least 15 more minutes to get there by ATV. When we got back to the trailhead and realized it wasn't exactly the right into the neighborhood that we had been told, so we just started walking. Eventually, they came by and picked us up. I'd say maybe 20 minutes or so after we had hit the main road. We told them that we were too tired to stay for dinner, the original plan, and we booked out of there and grabbed something on the way home. Here's where I'm at. We're adults. I was clearly underprepared, and no one should have to be responsible for me. On the other hand, the trip was vastly misrepresented to us. And had I known, I would have told these people that we didn't own mountain bikes and to count us out. This was not a hike. We have vastly different ideas of what constitutes a hike. I've been fielding calls about how sorry everyone is, about how things went down. But honestly, I just said that I had made it home safe and I would talk to everyone later. My mom had been babysitting so we could go. And when she asked me, I told her all of the above. And then said, I tried to hold together because I figured that maybe I was just tired and crabby. But then we had dinner and I was still upset. She genuinely asked me if these people were my friends. I'm going to sleep on it because it's fresh, but I feel like she's right. I feel like I was taking crazy pills today because at least they should have told me and I would be better off just going home. I felt like the people who knew the area misrepresented the trip and then totally left us in the dust to figure out our way back. Additionally, I get very few days off with a babysitter, so I have to plan excessively for this to go down, and it was additionally disappointing, although not anyone's fault. Just an extra grievance, honestly. I don't know, it just feels like we lost the plot somewhere, and I'm not demanding an apology. I'm just not going to be expecting help or logic from any of these people in the near future. Edit to add, holy moly, I woke up to a lot of questions and support, and I can't thank you guys enough. I started replying to as many as I could, but now my household is waking up. So the wonderful boyfriend has gifts to open from the kiddos and I. Thanks very much for your thoughts and advice. Happy Father's Day for those who celebrate. And as you can tell, this is a little bit older of a story here from Father's Day. But what do you folks think?
No, absolutely not the jerk. That was not a hike. If they had said you were going on a biking excursion, that would be one thing. But them calling it a hike and then proceeding to show up with mountain bikes, no. That is not a hike. They misled you. These people do not sound like friends at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's my view as well. If they wanted to go on a bike trip, they should have made that clear. If they wanted to go on a hike, that would have been a different situation. I would additionally say like a nice, easy, leisurely trip would be 2 hours, kind of at the most. 6 hours is a long time for anyone to hike. And it sounds like this might have been even longer than 6 hours. It just seems like these people weren't looking out for OP or their partner and just kind of were like, yeah, we're going to go ahead and do what we want to do and we're just going to leave you behind. You know, what was the point of orchestrating this to be a group activity if they just were going to leave OP behind, right? So I don't think that OP is in the wrong here. I think they have every right to be frustrated and upset with the situation because these people left them behind. And they weren't prepared for what the friends had told them that they should be prepared for. And that actually is really concerning because people can die on hikes here, right?
Well, exactly. You know, it sounds like this condition was not really meant for people to like walking around on foot. And even experienced hikers can suffer, you know, and meet bad fates when conditions go wrong. Like expecting people who are totally new to the area, have no idea what they're doing, to just like do this massive hike. It was supposed to be like 6 hours on foot, but it sounds like it was 6 hours on bike and would have been even more on foot. Like, they were given completely unrealistic expectations for what they were supposed to be doing. And it's just like, it could have gone south very quickly.
Well, if you consider like it took the ATV 15 minutes or what, 20 minutes, you know, or whatever it was. And those are probably going like 15 or 20 miles per hour here. So if you're, you know, what does that even come out to here, right? Like a few miles here, like 5 miles. That's quite a bit of distance, and depending on how far they had already gone, right? So I don't know if they were walking even 3 miles per hour. I don't know. It's hard for me to say like how fast the ATVs were going and all the other factors there. But the fact of the matter is that they were not underprepared for what they were told. They were underprepared for the trail, but not due to their own unpreparedness, right? So I don't think that OP needs to take any responsibility here. This is completely on the friends for misleading them. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Sitting with Family? To paint the scene, we are at the in-laws for Father's Day pool party. My 2 kids, 5 and 10, are swimming. 4 other kids aren't mine are also swimming. My 5-year-old cannot swim if dropped off in the deep end, so she still wears a life jacket, although she can float on her back. My husband said that she would figure it out if she slipped down the slippery ramp into the pool that she couldn't touch anymore. This makes me sick. He will never swim with her without me being there. Anyways, everyone is sitting about 30 yards from the pool in the shade. I decide to sit next to the pool in the 90-degree heat. Yeah, mind you, I'm pretty hot here. But I want all these kids having supervision, especially seeing the older kids play chicken and one almost falling backwards against the concrete edge of the pool. Well, when we got back in the car, my husband said that I was rude and stuck up for not sitting with the rest of the adults, seemingly ignoring them. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not the jerk. Kids need supervision in the pool. Like, that is not negotiable. Kids that young cannot be left unsupervised in water. Things can go bad very quickly.
Yeah.
And the people being rude were the ones who left it on OP to do all of the child watching on their own.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's probably about the summary. The thing is, like, a life jacket can slip off a kid or any number of things can happen. And while Generally, swimming can be safe. It also only takes a moment for somebody to go under and to drown. So I don't think that OP was wrong for wanting to make sure that their daughter was safe and that their other child was safe. There was nothing wrong with them doing this, and they may, in this particular case, not have saved anyone's life, but it could have gone wrong very quickly. Not to mention, like, if there is an adult watching over the kids, then the kids are probably going to be a little more tame than if they're completely unsupervised.
Mm-hmm.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I the jerk for snapping on my ex after her girlfriend accused me of trying to sabotage the relationship? Several months ago, an ex reached out to me out of the blue after we hadn't spoken in over a year. We ended on good terms, but I was the one who ended the relationship because we were incompatible. We live in different cities, we have private social media, and no mutuals, so there wasn't much reason for us to stay in contact. During the conversation, she told me that she was unhappy in her relationship and planning to break up with her girlfriend. She also admitted that she had spent a lot of time thinking about me and wished that she was with me instead. I told her that I wasn't comfortable discussing those details and kept things firmly in the friends giving advice territory. Well, a few weeks later, she told me that they had broken up and she was moving out. We spoke occasionally after that, but things naturally fizzled out. Well, a few months later, I was playing a card game with my friend and drew the card that said, call your ex or take a shot. Since we had ended amicably, I called her and she didn't answer, so I moved on. About 10 minutes later, she calls me back 5 times. I didn't answer. A few days later, she texted me asking how I had been. We had a normal conversation where she asked about my life, my dog, etc. Well, the next day, I started receiving messages from a girl accusing me of trying to interfere in the relationship. This was how I learned that my ex and the girlfriend that she had broken up with were now back together. Well, I ignored it at first, but she continued DMing me on multiple accounts. To stop it from escalating, I explained that I had called because of a card game, that if I had known that they were together, I wouldn't have called and would not do so again. She continued to accuse me of lying and trying to get between them, so I blocked her. Then my ex texted me. She never meant any of the things that she told me previously. She loved her girlfriend and essentially begged me to respect their relationship. She also claimed that the only reason that she had texted me a few days earlier was to tell me that she was about to block me. The problem is that she never actually said that. We had a normal conversation and at no point did she mention blocking me or having a girlfriend. What frustrated me was that I hadn't reached out to rekindle anything. It was a stupid card game, and my texts were platonic, so being treated like I was trying to sabotage a relationship that I didn't even know existed felt completely detached from reality. Well, after both of them continued contacting me about it, I finally snapped. I said something that I had intentionally avoided admitting before. That beyond incompatibility, I had ended our relationship because I had lost attraction to her romantically and physically. So there was never any realistic possibility of me pursuing her now. Then I blocked her too. Part of me feels justified because I was being blamed for a situation even after clearing things up and assuring that I wouldn't contact her again. But part of me wonders if I crossed the line by saying the last part when I knew that it would sting. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, I understand why OP is feeling, frustrated and upset, but it also seems like, I think the ex-girlfriend here is, in the wrong, and I think her current partner is also in the wrong. Like they're not, neither of them is behaving well. But I think this is a good reminder that don't just prank call your exes or call them out of the blue for no reason when you know they're pining after you.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit of a difficult situation because I don't really feel like OP did anything wrong here. And OP made it very clear that they were platonic and they had ended on friendly terms. So I don't think that OP had set up any kind of expectation that they would be getting back together. And OP had shut down any previous attempts that the ex had made at getting back together. Maybe it was slightly poor judgment to call the ex, but OP had no idea that the ex had rekindled a relationship. And it just feels like the X is trying to blame OP here, which is another good reason why OP shouldn't have any consideration to get back together with this person.
Well, yeah, like I 100% agree that like OP is right to not want anything to do with this person. My one quibble is like, if I don't know when this game was happening, but it's a drinking game, so it was probably at night. And when do people give like love confessions and stuff, drunken confessions, you know? You know, again, I'm not saying that OP is necessarily in the wrong, but I'm also like, they probably should have cleared things up and immediately texted and been like, sorry, this was just a game or something like that, instead of just leaving it like that.
I mean, I do think like calling them back immediately would have been a good idea just to clear things up, and then they could have, gone about their business. Again, like I have a hard time blaming OP. I don't think that they did anything wrong here, and I think that they were just trying to play the game and wanted to clear things up later. They probably didn't expect the X to react in this particular way, and I can understand their frustration with the situation. I would say that OP probably could have just blocked them and said, hey, look, I'm going to block you. I hope you have a good life, but I don't want this harassment anymore.
Yeah.
And just kind of left it at that. I don't think they need to say anything beyond that. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Being Upset That My Partner Told Me About an All-Day Bachelor Party the Night Before? Well, last night at about 10 p.m., he casually mentioned that he had an all-day bachelor trip, which began at about 7 a.m. Today also happens to be my son's last t-ball game of the season. I got mad because I feel like if you're going to be gone all day, especially on a day where there's already something important going on, that's something that you need to communicate prior to 10 hours before the plans. He thinks that I'm making a big deal out of nothing because he technically told me before it happened. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not the jerk. This is a very big thing to spring on you last minute, especially when it sounds like everyone involved already had plans, you know. It was the last t-ball game. Presumably he was supposed to be going to that too. And for him to just dip out and be like, peace out, I'm going. That's not how partnerships work.
Yeah, I have a hard time with the whole last minute type of thing. It feels like OP's partner should have said this a long time before now. And I understand why OP is so frustrated by the situation. I hope that OP is able to, and their partner is able to have better communication in the future, because this isn't a good way to communicate. And if this is the way that he is communicating with OP in these last minute ways, then that might not be it might not be compatible with the lifestyle that OP has, especially since they have a kid. And sometimes when you have kids, you need to have more long-term plans and longer discussions about childcare and other kinds of things that are going on. So I think that OP is well within their right to be frustrated and say, hey, you should have given us more notice. Not to mention, if he is acting like a parent in this particular case, then the kid is probably going to be pretty disappointed that he's not even showing up to the last t-ball game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I get OP's frustration here. I think that they are justified in that frustration. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she has a joke.
Why are there no knock-knock jokes about democracy?
Oh, I would imagine it is because democracy has a hard time knocking on doors.
Because freedom rings.
Oh, sure. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Freedom.
Freedom who?
No freedom at all, because I ring and I don't knock doors. No. And I have licorice spice. And folks, today is a very special day. It's deserting your friends while going hiking day. So maybe don't do that, actually.
Yeah.
It could be very dangerous for you and them. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy, wonderful Wednesday, Hump Day, Friday, Junior's Eve. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, so please, how about a haiku for Haiku Wednesday?
Bikes are not for hikes. You'll leave those on foot behind. That's abandonment.
I agree. But thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.